nationwide and close to home for everything you need. About the House, sponsored by Home Value.
Did you see it? Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely brilliant.
I mean, there are going to be fights ultimately. I mean, it's a stressful time as well.
He stresses about every detail, and I only stress about the big things.
What if you live in a small, cold, damp and drafty house, but dream of living in a bright, spacious, contemporary and very comfortable house? You have three options. The first is to alter the existing house. The second is to knock down and replace and build a new house. Or the third is to keep the existing house and build a large, energy-efficient new extension that's going to act as the main part of the house. That's what Tom Murphy and Elaine Kennelley are about to do. Tom works for a large computer company and Elaine works in the food industry as a quality consultant. 8 years ago they bought this small 1960s bungalow which needed a lot of work just to make it habitable. Although they've modernised it, it still falls way short of their aspirations. So what's wrong with this house?
It's small, it's poorly insulated. Structurally it's very sound, but it is a 1960s build.
In the winter, the heating can be on for quite a while. The house does warm up, but as soon as you turn it off, the heating, the house gets cold in within 20 minutes.
That became an issue for us, the cost of heating it, which led us down a different path than we might originally have taken. It would have been easy to say, let's knock it and let's just build a conventional house on the site.
It was always their intention to build a new house, but a potential landfill on the adjacent lands delayed their building plans for 8 years.
Because of the landfill, our whole view on the environment changed, and that was a major influence in the actual direction we eventually took.
So you're building a very different extension to what typically is done.
We've decided to go for a passive extension and then come back and upgrade this side of the house.
It'll be a standalone 2-storey extension with loft space connected to the original house by a glass lobby, with 4 bedrooms, large open-plan kitchen dining and a living room with gallery upstairs. It is an unusually large extension at 300 square metres. Foundation costs are €31,000. Site works €39,000. Fixtures and fittings will be €44,000. The passive house build will cost €541,000. For landscaping, €3,000 is budgeted, and €20,000 is left over for furnishings. This brings it to a total of €678,000. Expensive for an extension. This is mainly because of its large size. So what got you interested in passive house?
I was reading about passive houses in the 70s in the US. After reading that book, I decided we definitely need to at least take more use of the natural resources available to us, like the free sun and so forth.
A German company will design and build a turnkey extension to passive house standards.
We had to go to Germany. We had 3 days, pick your bathroom fittings, pick your tiles, pick your floors, pick your door handles, pick your windows, pick your internal doors. Done. So it's very efficient.
Essentially, when we move into the house, this one company is going to do everything. We will literally turn the key and walk in.
The architect, Hermann Richter, is here from Germany to check the foundations.
It's a need, I think, in the future. Has to be passive or low-energy houses to be built.
Tom and Elaine hope to get passive house certification for this extension. If they do, it will be one of the first of its kind in Ireland.
It's a challenge because it's very difficult to get this certification. It's a lot of experience and also a lot of calculation.
So which drawer am I putting underneath then?
Maybe the 60, whatever.
When plans are finalised, it takes just 3 weeks in the German factory for prefabrication. Elaine must decide on all fixtures and fittings today, or she'll miss the delivery date.
Usually the minimum lead time for anything that I'll order in Ireland is 6 to 8 weeks. And in 6 to 8 weeks, a lot of the house is going to be up.
Every component of the house will come from Germany and is delivered on site in just 4 truckloads.
Did you see it? Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely brilliant. I never actually, in my head, imagined it going over the other house. Just feel glad that it's happening now, that all the planning is over and now we're on to the doing stage of it.
It will take 4 German skilled tradesmen 5 days to assemble the components on site and make this passive house extension weather-tight. The passive house system means it's designed and built to a very high level of energy efficiency and won't require conventional central heating. This will save money on installation as well as energy bills.
We'll only be the second registered passive house in Ireland. You were dealing with technology that we're not really familiar with.
It needs to be very airtight in construction. Roof, wall and floor panels and windows need to be very highly insulated. The panels arrive already fitted with a breathable membrane, even some with doors and windows fitted.
It's very hard to imagine something when you have it on paper. The only worries I might have is, did we pick the right room sizes?
Some panels arrive with electrical trunking installed, and some even with doors and windows fitted.
It's strange to be able to open your front door if it's already in a wall.
It's a speedy build, and all this is done by the end of the first day.
He keeps on complaining about it.
There's a lot of decisions that need to be made, and I'd be inclined to make the right decision, and Elaine would be inclined to make the quick decision.
I think he's probably the world's best nagger. He's always looking for a problem. He's looking, measuring, double checking. I kind of look around and go, oh, this is great, and this is where I'll put this is where I'll put the bed, I'll buy something for there. But Tom is obsessed with the structure.
Nitpicker? Well, I wouldn't say a nitpicker, no, but there's only one way of doing it, and that's doing it right.
He stresses about every detail, and I only stress about the big things. You know, if there wasn't a kitchen, I would stress, but Tom would stress about how many cupboards and exactly where they are in the kitchen.
And there can be, let's say, some fights. I mean, there are going to be fights, ultimately. I mean, it's a stressful time as well.
I go in and I go, oh, this is great, I've got a new kitchen, this room is nice, and then Tom goes, I think that light's off maybe by an inch.
Not everything is on the actual plans, so sometimes you have to go and physically check to make sure, the location of every light switch is where we expect it to be, and every plug is where it's going to be, and so on.
I really, really have to just stay calm, and it kills me because I just want to grab him and say, it's a lovely house, stop finding fault with it.
I think building a house is stressful, and it definitely creates arguments.
I'll be back in Old Town later to see if Tom and Elaine can cope with the stress of the next 7 days.
Dublin City's coast is an oasis from the business of fast city life. It is everyone's desire to spend time along the beautiful beaches, stretching all the way from the south to the north of the county. This week I am visiting an expansive, glamorous home for the super rich. This dream home, designed by architect Ian Smith, incorporates fabulous views of the Howth Peninsula and Dublin Bay. The most important thing for anyone who is thinking of buying a site and employing an architect to design their dream house is to combine all their ideas into a brief, as architect Ian Smith explains.
Tell me, did Nadia and Mac, the couple that bought the site, did they give you a very strong brief as to what they wanted?
They were very influenced by what they saw in North America, especially Maine and Connecticut, New England style. So it's not purely New England, it's a style of its own.
For me, the threshold of a house holds a particular importance, because when you cross it, you're being invited into the heart of the house. So I was initially surprised to see such a long and dark hallway when entering into such a grand home.
Some very interesting features when you walk through the front door. There's quite a wide hallway and then things take off at an angle. And it somehow matches the external facade, doesn't it?
Yes, well, I mean, inside, interplay between outside and inside, the whole idea of maximising views as you walk through the house. The hallway changes from one side of the house to the other halfway down with the stairs in the middle.
The staircase seems to be a bit of architectural influence. You know, it's quite bespoke.
It's one of the items that was specifically designed for the house. It's Canadian black walnut.
The house is a highly insulated timber frame construction, and it was supplied by an Irish company, A-Frame. But the owners flew in a team of Canadian craftsmen to give the house the New England look they wanted.
You know, there's a very interesting ceiling here. Can you tell us about it?
Well, it's a coffered ceiling. It's made out of timber, which gives an interesting effect to the room.
The detailed ceilings have been handmade, which is another example of the craftsmanship involved.
From there we can go on to the double height kitchen.
So you as an Irish architect, did you find it interesting working with a firm who would have a different view on the construction process?
Ireland doesn't have all the solutions to how things are done, so when you see established Canadian builders like ones like showing an interest in doing work here, you can certainly learn a lot from them.
So this is pretty much the most important room of the house. What's interesting is the fact that, you know, there's a lot of light. How did that influence the design of the house?
Well, I think it's a pretty primary element of the design. The northern aspect is spectacular, looking out towards Lambay Island and Ireland's Eye and the Silver Strand. The double height space really takes advantage of the views at two levels.
Normally, a north-facing aspect with so much glass would be considered very unsustainable because of the extensive heat loss. However, a light-drenched mezzanine level could be easily justified when considering the orientation.
This area really maximises the views over the beach, and the fact that you've got a seamless handrail and all glazing means that you don't have any interruption shading. The wall here between the garden and the beach, you know, it really is quite high, you know, and you certainly can't see the sea from here.
There's a lot of people that walk up and down the beach, and it just gives that little bit of extra privacy to this section of the garden. There is direct beach access by a circular door, which is pretty much invisible from this side.
The first floor contains 4 very differently styled bedrooms, all with ensuite bathrooms and interesting views. The house owner designed all the bathrooms with extensive use of mosaic tile finishes in a creative mix of styles. Furnishings are an eclectic mix of styles from all over the world.
From the 4 ensuite bedrooms on the first floor level, we come up to the master bedroom ensuite. And this is a walk-in wet room shower area. And it's been tiled out in pearlescent mosaic, and it's really quite a beautiful, unusual feature.
Colours are gorgeous, absolutely. And here we have a very, very interesting bath. It's great with the television, etc.
Yeah, this is a Kohler overflow bath. Water is fed from above.
So it's quite surprising at the end of the bedroom to find this large bath.
It's a bateau-style French bath, and it sits on a pearlescent mosaic frame. I think it's also a fantastic place to actually have a bath looking out on the view.
it really cries out almost for a balcony. So what happened?
We couldn't really get in a balcony at this level. There's much more obvious potential overlooking of neighbouring properties.
The roof comes up right in front of you and it sort of blocks the view a little bit as well. So did you consider dropping that roof and almost making it as a dome or semi-flat or something?
To have the opportunity to see the building from the inside looking out of it is a big part of the design, and the high quality copper finishes on the dome it's a nice feature.
But it sounds to me like you're almost saying that you're more interested in the outside.
Very aware of the outside when you're inside, and vice versa.
But by the same token, one could almost say that there's almost a clash of styles, maybe too much happening.
You probably could have gone for a more minimalist interior, but we've tried to show off craftsmanship in the house inside and out as much as possible.
While I am impressed by the Canadian and Irish timber frame construction, in my opinion there is a mix of styles which lack the purity of the intended New England design. It borrows a lot from its Victorian neighbours, and therefore I'm not sure if it completely achieves what it set out to architecturally. However, it was a brave development, and the glam interiors and stunning setting make for a real superstar house in a sought-after location.
Nationwide and close to home for everything you need. About the House, sponsored by Home Value. Nationwide and close to home for everything you need. About the House, sponsored by Home Value.
Tom Murphy and Elaine Kennelley are adding a very large 4-bedroom extension to their 1960s bungalow in Old Town. Every component has come from Germany, even the tradesmen. And when it's finished, they'll be able to turn the front door key and walk in.
Oh, I'm just amazed at how much has gone up today. All of this didn't exist yesterday evening, so day 2 and we have a second floor.
Most of the construction materials are from sustainable sources like timber, to give the house a low-carbon footprint.
This also avoids plastic foils and the stuff which normally has been used in timber frame constructions.
These solid glulam floor decks are made by gluing laminates of timber to create large spans and a stable, strong structure. They insulate well against airborne sound, and a further sound-resilient layer will be added later to cushion against impact sound. Finally, a lightweight cement screed will be laid over this as a medium for radiating underfloor heating.
I suppose I've been waiting 8 years for it, so it's very special in that sense. Finally, it's here.
Also important in passive house design is to maximise the use of daylight and solar energy in the winter and shade against unwanted heat from summer sun. The orientation of the main rooms are south-facing with large windows. North, east and west windows are kept small. The main structure was erected quickly as a result of thorough planning beforehand. However, there's still a lot to be done to get Passive House certification for this extension. It's important to achieve a very low U value, which is the measure of the rate of heat transmission. Typically, single glazed windows have a U value of around 5.6. These high-performance triple glazed windows, filled with krypton gas, have a U value 7 times lower. As gaps around window joints are a major source of heat loss, polystyrene is packed around the frames to minimise cold bridges.
We are using this kind of foam here. It's non-toxic. It's a special kind of foam which is a little bit more expensive, but there's no polyurethane in it, so it's absolutely untoxic.
Although Tom and Elaine have carefully planned the building of their Passive House extension, there are still many decisions to be made. In only 8 days, the main structure of this large extension has been erected by 4 German skilled tradesmen who are living on site. This is quite an achievement. Exterior walls need extra insulation, 330 millimetres thick, made up of shredded newspaper, wood fibreboard and hemp quilt, placed within timber frame and between battens. The walls are then stiffened with OSB, and finally a layer of plasterboard finish that also provides fire resistance. With all this work now completed, what do Tom and Elaine think about it?
Impressed?
Oh, how could you not be impressed after 8 days to have this much? The first day the containers arrived was brilliant. There was 3 containers lined up at the bottom of the road and my house was in it. It was brilliant. It was the best feeling, and they said they'd be here at 8 o'clock and they were here at 8 o'clock.
What's done so far now, Tom?
So far, after 8 days, we've got the structure watertight, all the windows in, and they've started internal works, like they're bringing into plasterboarding, wiring, running cables and so forth. Show you the first floor and then I'll take you to the attic.
Are these bedrooms here, yeah?
Yes, this is going to be a bedroom, and also across the way here we also have a bedroom or an office. I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
And this is the master bedroom down here then at the end.
Very good panoramic views here.
The house is facing south, but most of our glazing is here on the south.
Okay.
And also, you don't see it yet, but maybe the next time you come back, there's going to be blinds on all of the external windows to protect from overheating from the sun.
You will get problems with overheating in a passive house in the summer because of this. Solar is going to create a huge difference in the summer months. So, right, so you've taken account of that.
Exactly.
Then what's up above now on this loft level?
This is the masterpiece of the build, and probably the biggest surprise of all.
Right, fantastic.
As you can see, there's one big beam here.
Yes, big massive glue lamp beam running through the whole structure. The large span of this roof hangs from a huge glue lamp beam. This frees up the loft space from obstructions like collars and ties. You could have a big billiard table here. You could play tennis up here.
Good indeed.
Yeah. What are you going to use it for?
I'm not sure, given that it wasn't, let's say, originally planned. It was cheap extra space, but I'm thinking now in the future we're going to use it maybe as a home cinema.
The home cinema has kind of snuck into the whole project from opening up the attic space.
I can't do anything without discussing it with the other user of the house, no. No, but she's happy with that.
Home cinema is Tom's kind of fantasy. How can I spend as much money as we don't have?
No comment.
It seems to be a money pit.
In only 8 days, this passive house extension was erected and is really starting to take shape. I'll be back in a few weeks to catch up with Tom and Elaine.
This is the extension.
Next time on About the House, what happens if the architect is your son?
Spacious hallway there too.
I'll be looking at downsizing and future-proofing, and the pros and cons of direct labour. We also learn about the serious health risks of radon gas within a house and how to deal with it. For more information about this programme, visit the RTE website.
Nationwide and close to home for everything you need. About the House, sponsored by Home Value.